8:30? Thumbs up. Okay. The Redevelopment Agency meeting of November 1st, 2017 is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. These proceedings are being video recorded as well as presented live on KCLV Cable Channel 2 and are closed captioned for hearing impaired viewers. Please note, customers of CenturyLink and Cox Communication, you may view this program in high definition on channel 1002. The council meeting, as well as all other KCLV programming, may be viewed on the internet at www.kclv.tv/live. The proceedings will be rebroadcast on KCLV Channel 2, the Wednesday of the meeting at 8 p.m., also on Friday at 4 a.m., Saturday at 7 p.m., Sunday at 7 a.m., and the following Monday at 5 p.m. This building is protected by state-of-the-art fire detection and suppression sprinkler systems. If the alarm should activate during today's meeting, please evacuate using the exits at the back of the chambers, go out to the mezzanine, proceed out the double doors to the terrace, down the back staircase. For anyone who has difficulty with stairs, please check with a marshal or fire official for assistance. Once outside, assemble on the northeast corner across the street from City Hall at Lewis and 1st Street. Employees wearing safety vests or city marshals will inform you when it's safe to re-enter the building. For public comment related to items on the agenda, citizen participation and public hearing items, we do have available speaker card, which you may complete and submit to the city clerk. Cards are available online in the clerk's office or at the rear of these chambers. If you do not submit a card, it does not prevent you from speaking under public comment, citizen participation, or public hearing items. If there is anyone present today who has need for hearing impaired equipment, please come forward to our city clerk's staff. If you parked in the parking garage across the street, please be sure to have your ticket validated by security officers when exiting. This is agenda item number 3. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. The amount of time any single speaker is allowed will be limited. All comments made will be cross-referenced to those specific items. If anyone submitted a speaker card who wishes to speak under this portion of the agenda, please come to the podium, state your name for the record. We'll set the time at 1 minute. And with the flood of people, we will now move on to agenda item 4, too much candy from last night. For possible action, to approve the final minutes by reference of the regular Redevelopment Agency meeting of September 20th, 2017. Councilman Barlow, may I have a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Thank you. This motion to approve those minutes. Please vote and please post. Uh-oh. Am I frozen? Wait, I don't have a long enough cord on my mouse to get there. Hold on. Isn't that weird? Good microphone. Did it work? Yay. So much for technology. Go. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 5, discussion for possible action regarding the creation of a multifamily residential unit improvement program, MFR-UIP, and a multifamily residential visual improvement program, MFR-VIP, to encourage owners of existing multifamily residential developments to upgrade their properties to market rate residential product through interior and exterior enhancements, $300,000. RDA Special Revenue Fund, Redevelopment Areas 1 and 2, Wards 1, 3, and 5. Councilwoman Tarkanian and Councilman Coffin and Barlow. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor Goodman, members of City Council and Redevelopment Agency Board. For the record, Bill Arns, Director, Economic and Urban Development. This item is to take a look at approving 2 new programs for our redevelopment areas, both Redevelopment Area 1 as well as Redevelopment Area 2. And it's borrowing upon our success that we've had with our Commercial Visual Improvement Program. Our Commercial Visual Improvement Program, or VIP, has really been designed to try to have impact on neighborhoods in the greater downtown area and have a visual improvement to not just individual properties, but really entire neighborhoods with improving the commercial storefronts in our downtown. And we've had a lot of success with that. We've had broad participation throughout downtown. And now as we look at what policy goals the city is trying to accomplish in our downtown, we're taking a closer look at residential properties and think that we can use some of the best practices we've done with our VIP program and apply them to residential properties in downtown. So we've come up with two programs, which would be kind of companion programs, if you will, to fix both the exterior as well as the interior of multifamily properties within our redevelopment areas. The program goals are to upgrade the exterior appearance of multifamily residential properties, increase the number of residents living in downtown, increase and maintain quality, safe, and clean workforce housing, encourage existing multifamily owners to reinvest and renovate their properties, encourage commercial properties that may want to convert their properties to residential to have an extra resource to have that happen, and then help bring properties up to city standards. The first program, the VIP program, the requirements are that the property has to be located within redevelopment area 1 or redevelopment area 2. We've presented the backup for you and the council and the agency board to focus on properties with 6 or more units. In our briefings prior to this meeting, it was expressed that we should take a look at helping properties with 4 or more units, and we certainly, with your direction, we could take a look at doing that. Minimum project expenditures of $120,000 for property. And the thinking behind that was we really want to see substantial renovation. We don't want to have property owners really do minimal improvements where you really can't see the change that's taken place. We really want a big upgrade to some of our older housing stock. And some of our housing stock dates back to the 40s and the 50s and 60s. So if we spent less than $20,000 per unit, I don't believe that the city would see and our community and our neighborhoods would see a really meaningful change. So we set that threshold at $120,000, and then for every dollar that we invest up to a cap of $25,000 per property, we're asking the private property owner to put in $2. We're also allowing both programs to be used together. So the second program, the multifamily residential unit improvement program, is the same as the VIP, but this would be focusing on helping with funds for the interior of the property and helping with renovation. And a lot of these residential properties, we're finding that the bulk of the money has to be spent on the interior to really fix them up and get them up to par. We'll go up to $50,000 per project for the interior, and then we also came up with an idea to have a target for where we spend this money. So we looked at our Vision 2045 plan, our downtown master plan, and that plan calls for mixed-use hubs throughout our greater downtown area, which includes the office core and the courthouse district. It includes our entertainment district, our arts district, the medical district, and parts of the historic west side. And so we're encouraging investment in those areas because we really think that's where we see the bulk of the housing today and the opportunity for mixed-use residential and bigger and better investment. And so we'll go up to a $50,000 reimbursement in those areas. We do have funding approved for these programs. We set aside, as part of our current fiscal year budget for the redevelopment agency, $300,000. That will fund both programs in both redevelopment areas. So we could do between 6 and 12 projects if you're inclined to move forward. This is a new program, and we're kind of launching it mid-year, so we really kind of want to test drive the program, see what the demand is, but in conversations with property owners throughout our downtown area and all 3 wards representing our greater downtown area, we've heard a lot of feedback, positive feedback on demand and interest for the program. And we really think this may be the next wave of trying to fix up and beautify our downtown. With that, staff recommends approval, and I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Well, I'd like to know, how do you qualify, and how is the staff going to select the qualifications and comparing them.
Thank you, Mayor. The qualifications really are pass-fail. So if you meet the program requirements, it'll be a first-come, first-served basis. So it is a significant investment for some of these smaller properties to make a $120,000 plus investment. So the owner has to demonstrate a willingness to do that. And then they have to meet the other requirements. The property has to be in our redevelopment areas, and they have to invest a minimum of $120,000 over the size of the units and put in that private capital. And for the VIP, we want to see some meaningful improvements to the exterior as well. So like we've done with our commercial VIP, we're going to have a comprehensive application where we have a design package on what they're going to do to the exterior, and we want to make sure that it's substantial. Ultimately, you and our redevelopment agency board will be the judge of whether or not it's significant and substantial. But we've tried to set it very clear and kind of a pass-fail approach to where if you're doing something substantial, and we think we set the bar reasonably high, then you'll qualify, and then we'll advance it to the board for consideration.
But isn't it wiser to go in cluster areas so that you're concentrating and fixing up a whole area if it is the fourplex concept, to get all of those in one area so the whole neighborhood looks better, rather than one here and one there and one out there?
Yes, I think that's correct. I think one maybe distinction with this program for residential is most of our residential, because of zoning, is already clustered. So those areas that we pick for the hubs, we have kind of a heat map showing where all the multifamily is today. And you're not going to see a lot of multifamily apartments or sixplexes, fourplexes adjacent to our big office buildings in downtown. It's kind of already by design, by the zoning targeted. So we didn't feel like we needed to take an extra layer and limit it to specific neighborhoods. And we also heard from potential clients, customers from all three wards. So it wasn't one single neighborhood saying, hey, we're clamoring for this. We did hear a lot of demand in the Arts District, but we also heard from property owners in the historic West Side and property owners in the Entertainment District, too.
So who's on your evaluation team, if I might add? I mean, are they all just from EUD, or obviously you include the ward council person? So how do we, how do you evaluate between Mayor Pro Tem's need in Ward 1 and Councilman Barlow in 5 and Councilman Coffin in 3, if you aren't looking specifically concentrated at one area? 300,000 is not going to go very far. What are you figuring, 6?
So 6 to 12, depending on whether they go at the $25,000 level or the $50,000.
Right.
So it'll be somewhere between 6 and 12. I think we've tried to keep it simple, and really staff view the evaluation panel as you and the Redevelopment Agency Board. So we try to kind of make it very clear, you either qualify or you don't, and we're going to make sure that they substantiate that they're doing significant improvements. And we think it's kind of a self-directed test. If they're putting in $20,000 per housing unit, that's going to be significant. It's not going to be something as simple as just exterior paint or a little bit more landscaping. We're going to see major renovation. So we think we control that by the dollar threshold on what they have to spend, and then we really want to turn it over to you and the agency board to decide, is this significant? Is it really going to help the neighborhood? And we have had instances in the past with our commercial VIP where the property owner really wasn't doing a whole lot with the exterior, and so we've had the council person for that ward ask staff, saying it's not enough. Work with the applicant and see if they're willing to do more. So we really view the evaluation panel as you and the agency board.
So the quick start that still operates, but through your evaluation, that came through Jorge when he was head of Public Works, it was strategically set up to bring everybody up to code. That is not part of this.
So those programs are not part of it. They're still separate. It is worth noting that the Quick Start's now funded through our development services team. So our redevelopment agency does not fund that, but the commercial visual improvement program, the VIP, We are still funding that. We have program funds still available this year, and we have enough resources on hand to try to take a crack at doing both. So if you're inclined to approve this new program, these new 2 programs, that will not have a negative impact on our existing commercial VIP.
Okay. Any other questions down there? Councilman Barlow?
Yes, Mr. Arndt, thank you so very much. And this has been a long time coming because you know, just as well as I do, so many people, specific residents and property owners in the West Las Vegas community have been asking how, in fact, could they participate in the redevelopment area. And so having come up with this program that you have here will basically help to open up the door for those property owners to take advantage of those parcels that they have in the immediate area. And in addition to that, we can couple that with what we've laid out for the 100 plan for the area, as well as far as the residents being able to take advantage of building new structures and new housing stock in this specific area. I know in the original documentation that you've submitted, you've had, I believe, 6 or more than 6 units, multifamily units. And we spoke in briefings on yesterday, and I recommended that we do 4 or more, being that there's a number of 4-unit developments in both 1, 3, and 5. And so those units are the ones that are standing now that can use some immediate assistance. So I'm recommending that we move from 4 to 6 in order to capture that housing stock that is, we move from the 6 to 4 in order that we move the current housing stock that exists today. And want to know if you have an issue with that.
Councilman, we're supportive of that. We were trying to figure out, what's the threshold? Is it 4? Is it 6? Is it 12? There's not really a science to it, so you know your wards best, and so if the agency board wants to start with 4 or more, we certainly can do that. We did, as you noted, we wrote the backup as 6 or more, so I would just ask, as part of any motion made, that you would ask that be approved with the change that 6 or more residential units be changed to 4 or more residential units for the program and all the supporting material.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Coffin?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I wanted to just say thank you for thinking about this. I think it's a good idea. I also support the councilman's proposal to bring it down to 4, because 4plexes, even 2 duplexes, are like a 4plex in many ways, and so we have to be careful how we manage that. I would suggest that we go liberally interpreting, because this is a morale thing in the old parts of town. I mean, historic West Side obviously is over 100 years old, a lot of it. And in the east side of town, 80, 90 years old is quite common. So sometimes we could use a morale boost by painting a building. Landlord is collecting minimum rents, doesn't really have enough. Maybe the only advantage is the ultimate write-off of expenses against revenue, and maybe he reduces his personal income. But it's literally, then maybe someday sell the property. So if we only give maybe small amounts of $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, we might satisfy the need that we see. It doesn't have to be 30,000. Doesn't have to be 300,000 divided by 6 or 10. It could be whatever is needed on a block, because if it's not a large sum of money, you may get other people asking for the same thing, and then we could afford to satisfy that demand. I think people who are investors who really have the money, they can afford a lot of this, but it's the smaller owner, sometimes occupant, who can't, and so that makes the match very hard. And I'm just saying, I think that we'll get more bang for the buck, pardon the cliche, Mayor, if we consider keeping these at a low dollar level as we experiment with this. Okay, thank you. That's what I have in mind, Your Honor, but I'm waiting for the councilman to make his motion.
Well, and I'd like to also add is we're going through, fortunately, things are on the uptick again, as we're getting interest in these wards. Isn't it better to cluster and concentrate and accompany the different pieces of investment. So we're picking a whole area rather than do 1 and 3 and 1 and 5 and 1 and 1, but to concentrate on where other people are investing and then help directly that neighborhood. And then you go on to the next one as we get investment there.
Mayor, thank you for the question. I think you're right. I think there are pros and cons to both approaches. I think there's a pro to trying to concentrate the investment in one area. I think the challenge for staff is we're not sure what that area is. So we try to take a fair approach and make all 3 wards eligible for the investment. And if we're seeing a neighborhood that really is applying most, then we can certainly bring that back to you. But that's really kind of a policy decision. The con of picking one neighborhood is we may pick it wrong. We may think that, well, there's one area here, call it the Arts District, where we think all the investment's going to be, and then there's another neighborhood, regardless of which ward it is, where that's really where the need is. And so we can visually inspect all the properties and say, here's who should apply, but I think to Councilman Coffin's point, we're not sure which investors need it most until we really engage them and start talking to them.
Madam Mayor, this is,
Down there. So many
if I
voices.
could, just kind of interject myself into this discussion. You'll be hearing from me later today on my 100-day plan, and I think there will be some targeting of these resources. I think we're not only looking at this as an opportunity to influence the development of housing downtown, but it will be integrated as part of a revitalized neighborhood development initiative that will target to targeted neighborhoods in some of our urban core neighborhoods, so that we can strategically invest and focus investments in those neighborhoods that are most at risk. So,
Right.
so there's a piece that looks at downtown, and then there's going to be a piece that looks at those neighborhoods that are at risk, and we can't spread it out among all the neighborhoods. We're going to have to focus on certain neighborhoods.
Great, that's exactly where I was headed. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Then I'll turn it over to you, Councilman Bartlett.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Art. And I would like to move for approval with the condition of reducing the number of multifamily units from 6 to 4, and also couple with the Councilman Coffin's concerns in regards to the policy issue in regards to the amount of spend that the applicant will be able to receive. So that would be my motion at this time.
Councilman, forgive me, I have a question on the motion. So if we're going to reduce that minimum threshold, as staff, we need to know what that amount is. I agree with the councilman that I think that could be a policy concern. My suggestion would be to let us move forward as we've recommended, and then if that threshold's too high, we can always come back to you quickly and say we've received a long list of applicants that can't do the $120,000 or the $20,000 per unit, but they can do 5 or they can do 10. I'd rather kind of set the peg now, whatever it is, and then if we need to adjust it, because we don't have a lot of money, if we kind of have to start somewhere. So
Yeah, I thought it was, you're saying 120,000 per unit. I thought it was 20,000 per unit.
well, we said $20,000 per unit, 6 units or more, so we set the floor at 120,000. Now we could drop that to 80,000 or 20,000 per unit if that's your direction. But whatever that threshold is, we just need that direction today so we can be clear when we're working with applicants what that threshold is. And if you feel that the 20,000 over 4 units or more, 80,000 is too high, certainly like that direction today. We prefer that direction today if possible. And I'd certainly, until we engage a lot of applicants, we're really not going to know if we set it at the bar at the right height or not.
When you say what information we need to provide you, what information are you referencing?
I prefer today that we, as part of the program, with your motion, not only say 4 more units, so that gives us the direction we need.
Okay.
But the minimum investment per property, we set the bar at 120,000, 6 or more. You're changing it to 4 more units with the motion. Do we want that bar at $80,000?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
do we want
Okay.
it, meaning
Yes.
20,000 per unit, or do we want it a lower amount?
Okay, I
And
think
again, if that bar is wrong, and we set it wrong today, we can always come back and adjust it.
For the return that the property owner will receive, if in fact they invest $80,000 for 4 or more, I think that's a good starting point because of how much would they receive back if they do, if one were to develop a 4-unit multifamily property and invest $90,000, how much would they be able to receive in return based on the 2-to-1 ratio?
Right, they would get the 25,000 if they're not in a target area, 50,000 if they're in a target, or up to 45,000 if they're in a target area. So roughly between a fourth and half of the funds that they're needing.
Okay, so I'll say the starting threshold, I would like to amend my motion. The starting threshold would be $20,000 per unit for 4 or more multifamily units. And then if there's an adjustment that's needed in the future, you can basically bring that back to the council to make the adjustment, whether it be up or down. So that'll be my motion at this time.
Thank you.
Yes, please, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. On the question, and on the, so the $20,000 per unit would be a maximum match? Or are you looking for some sort of minimum number?
No, Councilman, for the record, Bill Arndt, that's the floor, that's the minimum investment. So if someone came to us and said, I have a fourplex and I'm putting 50,000 in, and it's not 80,000 or more, we would actually reject that application. So that, we're trying to set that floor, and again, it's hard to know where the right floor is, but one of the reasons we set it a little bit high is we don't have a lot of money right now, so.
Well, excuse me, Bill. Yeah, I know we don't have a lot of money. I'm just thinking, what kind of effect will we get if we concentrate this money in literally just a few places? That's what's
Right.
going to happen
Right.
with the current language you're asking for, as opposed to spreading it out. Now, I'm just wondering if maybe we should consider leaving this rather loose in order that you might then be able to respond to that occasion where you've got the small unit and it's really messing up a block, but it could help the whole block if the owner invests and we help. And it may not be a big apartment building. It may only be a fourplex or a sixplex. So what language, maybe legal counsel could help on this, because what language could we leave in this to get you started, but to not require you to get such a large match from people? That automatically limits it to people who probably have the money to finish the whole job themselves, when you think about it. I mean, we know that in certain circumstances, but this is an incentive to do well, and it shouldn't be just limited to the larger apartment or multifamilies out there. That's just my thought. But I don't want to handcuff you with some more specific language. I'd kind of like to see looser language.
Well, Councilman, to answer your question, we could make it much looser and just require a simple match. So for every dollar the property owner, for every $2 the property owner puts in, we'll pay for $1. So for every $2 we'll pay $1. So they pay 2/3, we pay 1/3. That's much simpler. We don't have to track investment per unit. That would certainly help the smaller properties more, to your point, that may not have the resources to make as big an investment. The flip side is we're not going to see as big an improvement to those properties, and will it turn around the neighborhood or not and get those units rented up? But I appreciate the suggestion, and I think we do need some flexibility to respond to the private marketplace, but that was our intent, is really encouraging property owners to do substantial rehabilitation. And if you're spending less than, say, $5,000 to $10,000 per unit overall, the property may look better, but it may not lead to actual occupancy and really helping the neighborhood. So it's kind of a balancing act there.
Well, I guess if you, Councilman Barlow, feel comfortable with this, we could start this way, and we'll see. I don't want to impede this, so I'll set aside what I'm saying in terms of trying to put it into the language. I'd rather just watch and see how you run it.
Thank you, Councilman. And
All right.
to address your concern, one thing that we'll do as a team, as staff, is we'll track the inquiries that want to participate but can't meet that investment requirement, and we'll bring that report back to you. So if there's a large list of property owners that want to participate and are essentially prevented from doing so because they can't meet that minimum investment threshold, we'll bring back that information to you, and maybe we set the bar too high and we can make some changes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you,
And
Bill.
I'd
Thank
like
you,
to
Mayor.
add to his comment, thinking about the most challenged neighborhoods and the fourplexes, 5,000 a unit's an awful lot of money for these people to come up with. I don't see it happening for them to have that kind of floor base on a fourplex or even going to a sixplex if you're really looking at the redevelopment need challenged neighborhoods. So I'm concerned about the formula and the amount of funding that the owner of the fourplex or sixplex has to put in. $5,000 per unit is a lot of money. And I don't think they'll qualify. And if we're really targeting those most challenged areas, it's just a question. You think 5 is
I don't think 5 is enough, Mayor. No, I'm saying, just from a, construction standpoint, I mean, because once you come in, say, for instance, if someone has a fourplex today and they want to go in and renovate each one of the units, or I should say 4 units today, and they want to go in and renovate each one, you're talking carpet, you're talking walls, you're talking cabinetry, the electrical system, the plumbing. So, I mean, it could easily be close to $20,000 per unit. But, looking at the formula today, they invest $80,000 into $20,000 into each one of the units to basically bring it up to a livable state, and they receive $25,000 of that back. They've only spent $55,000 to renovate 4 units. And Mr. Arndt, if my math is correct, that's what we're looking at as far as the 2 to 1. Well, he's speaking to Scott right now.
Well, I mean, my concern only is, and you probably, because it's in your ward, and certainly Councilman Coffin in his ward, the potential of the investor to cover that basic cost. And I'm just figuring, because they're in such bad condition that we want to upgrade them, those are probably areas that they don't want to sink in more. They'd put in something less, and then the whole neighborhood gets better because of it. But your investors in your neighborhoods. I just thought 5,000 per unit's a lot of money to come into when you have to do all 4 or you have to do 6.
But traditionally, what they'll do is they go out and they'll get a loan from a bank to come in and do those renovations based on their ability to be refunded on the back end, to basically put that money back into the bank, as far as paying the bank back at least 25 of the 80,000, which basically leaves them a balance of 55. And that's what I was saying, as far as the 2 to 1. If you put in 80, you receive 25 back. If you put in 80, you'll receive 45 back if you're in the targeted zone. Is that accurate, Mr. Arndt?
So it's for every, so if you put in 75, you would get 25, so it's.
But the threshold is 80,000.
Right. So, so if you put in, if an investor put in $90,000 and was above the 80.
Right.
Their $2 would be the 60,000. Our $1 would be the 30,000. So we'd go up to 30 in that instance if they were a target area, or 25 if they're in a low area. So it's kind of the 2 to 1.
I thought you said it was 45.
Well, the 2 to 1 is a little confusing because it's two private dollars for every one of our dollars. So 2 plus 1 is 3. So they're putting in 2/3, we're putting in 1/3. It's the way we wrote the program.
So if they spent $200,000 on the renovation,
They get 100.
they'll still be.
They'll still be capped at 25 unless they're in a target area. We go up to 50
50?
in the targeted areas, right?
So the non-targeted, what is the number?
We were capping it at 25,000 just because that was really a budget constraint. We only had the
Right.
300,000. If we had, and I think to Mr. Adams' point, if this program's successful and we want to expand it to target some of these neighborhoods, we'll look for other funding, and I think we can accomplish the goals of helping neighborhoods by just spending more money and having enough resources to handle those neighborhoods.
Okay.
Okay, so your motion stands. Okay, there's a motion about 12 hours ago, so please vote and please post. I'm sorry, mine's a yay. That motion carries. Thanks, Mr. Arndt.
Thank you.
And we'll move now on to agenda item 6, RA 11-2017, discussion for possible action regarding a resolution finding the project proposed by the Commercial Visual Improvement Program CVIP agreement between the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency, RDA, and the Highland Industrial Park LLC owner located at 2901 South Highland to be in compliance with and in furtherance of the goals and objectives of the redevelopment agency, and authorizing the execution of the CVIP agreement by the RDA not to exceed $25,000 RDA special fund, special revenue fund, and redevelopment area 1 in Ward 3 with Councilman Coffin. This item is related to Council Item Number 41, R52-2017. And Mr. Arndt.
Thank you. Again, for the record, Bill Arntz, Director, Economic and Urban Development. With me today is Emil Khalili, the Managing Member for Highland Park Industrial Park LLC, and is representing the applicant. This project is part of our Commercial Visual Improvement Program, and our property owner is making significant improvements to this property located on Highland Drive. I would note for the record that the backup was listed incorrectly. It is actually in Ward 1, not in Ward 3, and so I'd like to make that part of the record. The property is an industrial warehouse. Currently has 4 different tenants: an HVAC and plumbing company, a party supply company, a wholesale distributor of anti-theft devices, and a machine shop for a digital manufacturing company. The business owner is planning improvements to the building and has not undergone any improvements in the last 38 years. So this is really kind of the sweet spot for the VIP program, if you will, our older commercial buildings within our redevelopment area that really need some improvements. The owner's renovating the exterior of the building and spending $63,000 on the exterior, and therefore is eligible for a $25,000 reimbursement. The facade easement and building maintenance agreement will be recorded on the property, and this shows what the property looks like today. Some of the improvements include lighting and security. The area is a challenged area, and we really think this will help the area with the visual improvement. And this is what the property will look like when the improvements are completed. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our applicant and let him introduce himself and explain the nature of the business and what he's doing with the property.
Great. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. This is a project that...
And could you repeat your name for the record?
Emil Khalili.
Thank you.
And I'm appearing in front of you to discuss the project of Highland at Highland Industrial Park, which has been placing new skin over these old metal dilapidated buildings. We are going through a process that has been approved by the City of Las Vegas, and we had a structural engineer to work with us in placing new stucco over these buildings, and with 3-tone colors. In addition to that, we have added LED lightings at the planters that were creating problems because of the sinking, but now it's an attractive feature and an area like a bench seating that the people after work, they can sit in that area. So overall, the visual impact of the project, you can see it from the freeway, I-15, as you're driving northbound. On the right-hand side, it's been a tremendous change from what they were to what they look like now. And we have created a significant improvement to the neighborhood and also to the tenancy, and overall the tenants are very happy about being as part of this park now, and their business are improving as well as the visual impact is taking form and shape on this property. In addition to what you see, we have done roof overlay, and we plan to do asphalt overlay next year. And we are planning to, we got approval recently from City of Las Vegas for a pylon sign that is about 60 foot high, and it's about 30 foot by 20 foot in dimensions of LED sign. So we will be bringing branding to the property, and it would become a high-profile, noticeable property on I-15. As you're driving, you will see Highland Industrial Park with a big LED sign that will be advertising the tenants, the business of the tenants on the property. We intend to complete this project in the next few months, couple of months, and if it's not big, and certainly this grant is very helpful and to help us achieve our goals in terms of improvement of the property.
Thank you, Mr. Khalili. How many buildings are there that you own there?
Total of 16, and if you recall, I appeared before you last year, and we presented another, or earlier actually this year, it was the previous fiscal year, and we discussed another one of the buildings at this property.
And are all 16 ultimately going to be?
Yes, all
Okay.
16, we are planning to take them through this process, which has been a significant investment.
And are they mostly car repair and larger pieces in all the units? I mean, are they pretty much the same as standard large empty warehouse type that they can do whatever when they rent from you?
Each of these suites are about 4,800 square feet, approximately 800 square foot of office, 4,000 square foot of warehouse.
Excellent.
And we have all various types of tenants interested in these kind of spaces. This is a very popular product right now. The occupancy rate in the central industrial Las Vegas is 98% or more. So it's a type of a product that is picking up a lot of interest, and there's a tremendous demand for it.
And is there any, this is irrelevant, but I'm just curious, any hydroponics, any marijuana pursuit requests to you for grow facilities?
Okay, we have had interest for cannabis. My loan and my lender, Wells Fargo, prevents me from doing that, besides the fact that I'm not interested in cannabis business. That's not my main, that's not my business. We do have a hydroponic store on the property, but there is no, they provide supplies, which is plumbing supplies, electrical, and all the planting and nutrients and things of that nature. There is no growing or cannabis business on the property.
I didn't mean to even infer, I mean, that's your business and you'd have
Yeah.
to come back anyway, but I just was curious at this point. So I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem. You have to turn
Move
here.
for approval.
Okay, but you need to be there if you would.
I'm sorry. I move for approval of this project, and I think
Great.
it's very good, and I went over it before, and I know all the good that can come of this. I know the need of it. I've read it in national magazines that there's a need, and particularly here in Las Vegas, and so we're very happy that you're coming into Ward 1. Thank you very much, and I move for approval.
Thank you. There's
Thank you.
motion to approve.
I hope that I could do more projects like this in Las Vegas. Truly, it's been a pleasure to work on this project.
You have a unanimous vote here, so.
And it's been a
Go and Get
pleasure.
all 16 done.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Arndt. We'll move on to Agenda Item 7, RA 12-2017, discussion for possible action regarding a resolution Finding the project proposed by the Commercial Visual Improvement Program, CVIP agreement between the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency, RDA, and the Latin Chamber of Commerce, owner, located 300 North 13th Street, to be in compliance with and in furtherance of the goals and objectives of the redevelopment plan, authorizing the execution of the CVIP agreement by the RDA not to exceed $25,000, RDA Special Revenue Fund, Redevelopment Area 1, Ward 5, Councilman Barlow. Note this item is related to Council Item 42, R53-2017. Isn't this in Ward 3?
Mayor, for the record, Bill Arndt, it is in Ward 5, this
Oh.
property.
Good morning.
Goes right down the line, actually.
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, Bill Arndt, Economic and Urban Development. With me today is Peter Guzman, representing the Latin Chamber of Commerce. This property is a 7,500 square foot building in the heart of our downtown, and the Latin Chamber, as I think everyone in the community knows, has been a wonderful partner for the community, the downtown community, and the City of Las Vegas. And they have a need to make exterior improvements to the property, which will also enhance security of the property. And we're very pleased to work with Mr. Guzman and his team to help with these improvements. The owner is investing an investment of $55,000 approximately, and therefore eligible for a $25,000 VIP reimbursement grant. We will be recording the easement against the property to ensure of upkeep of the property. We believe that what they're doing with installing fencing with decorative columns is really not only enhancing the security of the property, but to the purpose of this program is really a major aesthetic improvement to the property. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Guzman to talk a little bit more about what they're doing with the property and also talk about all the wonderful things that are happening at the Latin Chamber. Mr. Guzman.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, I want to say what an honor and a privilege it is to be inside here speaking to all of you. It's been an absolute pleasure working with Bill and his staff. I certainly want to say thank you so much to Councilman Barlow. Always there for us at the Chamber, more than people understand and know. And I want to commend each and every one of you guys. Many of you have had a long-standing relationship with the Latin Chamber of Commerce, an organization that's been around for over 42 years, founded by a great man named Otto Merida, Otto, and I'm honored to be the second president in this organization's history and trying to carry to the best of my ability some of the efforts that Otto started long before me. And so this fence, in so many ways, is so badly needed. Like I said, our organization is over 42 years old. We love where we're at. We love that corner. We feel like in many ways we're the gateway to downtown for many, many people, especially the Hispanic community. And it's just become time to do something so beautiful as this fence that we're about to do. And you know, it's for security reasons, certainly, but you know, I don't want to speak about that too much because our city is great. Everybody deals with security issues. Maybe we dealing with it a little more recently than others, but we're grateful for being there. We just want this fence to make our building look beautiful, and certainly the Latin Chamber of Commerce is blessed to have great friendships and great relationships, and it's amazing when the word got out that we were going to be doing things like this. You know, the laborers union immediately came and said anything we can do to help, we'll be there to help. I'm grateful to Tommy White and his group. I'm grateful to Lewis K. Construction, who also, when we put this out, you know, I mean, we knew that we had to be tight with dollars and try to do the best we can, but we think the finished product is going to be something that personally I want each and every one of you guys to feel, and that is proud of our building, proud of what it looks like, proud of what we do for the community. That's what I want. I want to be able to come back here again in the future and look each and every one of you in the eye and have you tell me that you're proud of what that building looks like. That will be a big win for me, and we will have when we get this thing done, we're going to have a press conference. We're going to really show this to the community with hopefully each and every one of you guys invited and being there, because that's how big this is to us. This is a big moment. This fence means a lot more than what you could imagine. So with that, thank you very much for your consideration, and I appreciate working with each and every one of you.
Thank you, Mr. Guzman. It's a beautiful building, and I was thrilled when you got it. That was some really great move. So, any questions, comments? Okay, Councilman.
Move for approval.
Thank you. There's a motion to approve on agenda item 7. Please vote and please post.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. White. Appreciate it. Appreciate that offer. Great. And agenda item 8 is our second citizen participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the redevelopment agency. No subject may be acted upon by the redevelopment agency unless the subject is on the agenda and scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, please come to the podium, give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, will be limited. Anyone wishing to speak under this portion of the agenda? Hearing none, we will move on to agenda item 9. Agency member recognition. Comments made by individual agency members during this portion of the agenda will not be acted upon by the agency unless the subject also is on the agenda and scheduled for action. Is there any member of the redevelopment agency who wishes to speak under this portion of the agenda? Any other comments? Hearing none, this redevelopment agency is adjourned, and we will start our city council right now, after we take 3 minutes so we can get our technology up.